Hi, everybody. Welcome back to our nostalgic or problematic series where we are rewatching the series Dawson's Creek. And we are almost to the end of the season, so that is wild. We are on season 1, episode 11, entitled The Scare. And here's your little summary. While Dawson is preparing to celebrate Friday the 13th, a serial killer is rumored to be headed to Capeside.
Yep.
Dun, dun, dun. Okay, now, before we even get going, I just keep changing on how I do things on my little tally of things. Should we just go in order of the episode? Like, usually we do happies and sads. But
I think in order is okay because I only have 2 X's.
Okay, good. So let's just go in order then.
Sounds good. So Dani has smiley faces and frowny faces, and I have hearts and X's.
Yeah.
And sometimes we do like all the happies and then all the sads, but this one particularly, I think we can just like start at the beginning and go from there.
I think it's better
Sounds
just
good.
to go in order.
Okay,
so let me tell you. In the very beginning of this episode, I love this episode, by the way. Did you?
I love
so much fun, right?
This episode.
So much
good.
fun. I loved at the beginning where Dawson and Joey are like on his bed watching movies, of course. And Joey is like, I don't like scary stuff. Like the world's already a scary place. I'm like, yes, preach it, sister, because that is how I feel. I don't watch a whole lot of scary movies. I despise true crime, and Katie loves it.
I despise it.
I do like some old school, like 80s, 90s horror.
Okay.
Which is kind of their like ode to the 90s, like horror movies, which we'll talk about. I do like some of that. I love the vibe of this episode, but as a whole, I don't generally love scary stuff because I feel like, yes, the world is terrifying. I do not need to be reminded of scary stuff. The world is scary. Right. And I also I hate when people scare me. You know how he like jumps out and scared her?
Yes.
I hate that, but I love to scare people.
Yes. So of that scene, you're going to laugh at my first note. I agree with what you're saying, but I said Dawson's PJ pants.
Stop, Katie.
Had those. Wanted those.
I thought you were going to say
not because I'm like, he's so cute. I mean, he is. But it was it's like
PJ pants.
Kids, kids even now wear like those plaid PJ pants.
Oh, I had so many.
But the color palette, it was like that brown and then like tan crisscross. It was just that like color palette that I was like, oh my gosh, what a flashback. So they were watching, I know you did last summer.
Yes.
Right. So I don't mind a scary movie now, but when I was in high school and like that movie came out, I didn't like them either, but I had this
I was the opposite. I loved scary shit when I was younger. Loved it. Obsessed with it.
So I had a pretty serious boyfriend, and so I would watch scary stuff with him.
Okay.
Like at home. Or I guess we went and saw like some of the Scream stuff in theaters. But so this is funny. You know how Dawson scares her from coming out from under the bed. So when we were dating, we watched, I know you did last summer at his house, and it was like a Friday night, and his parents had gone to bed, and it was like dark. And I went in the bathroom.
Stop.
And I came out, and he scared me. I can't remember if he jumped out or if I couldn't find him. And then like the door was open. It was a whole thing. And I almost had a heart attack. Like I was so scared. And so it was funny when watching that scene. I was like, oh, I guess this is just what guys like to do when they watch this movie, because he did that to me as well. And then there was the Jerry Maguire reference.
Yes. Where they were watching that. She put it on and she was like, she settled in.
Right. And he's like, oh yeah, because this is so realistic or whatever. I really loved that.
Facts. I also love that it was so nostalgic when they did the Scream phone call.
Yeah,
I loved that so much. I think that's what I liked about this episode was there was so much nostalgia for the late 90s horror movies that were going on at the time. The I Know What You Did Last Summer, Screams, all those urban legends.
Yes,
there was a shout out to that one as well when they were sitting around telling the stories.
Yes, yeah, that was really good.
I did like it.
The scene then, I don't know if it's the next scene when Dawson and Pacey are in the hallway at school.
Yes.
And Dawson's like, I'm not celebrating and blah, blah, blah. And of course, so I really like this line. And Dawson explains, he's like when I started dating Jen, I thought it was going to be this epic romance and like the movies, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, but it wasn't. It was like this and like this. And then he says, the love scenes were amateurish at best. And I loved that. or non-existent. Because there was like
none.
not a lot of like action going on there. So
Amateurish.
Amateurish. I can't even say it, but yeah. Oh, it was so great. I also had a right around then when Joey opens her bag and there's the fake snake.
Yes.
The sound effect.
I know.
I was dying. It's like boing, I know. Or whatever. And it was like this crazy. And I don't know if they were trying to be cheesy on purpose or if that was a reference to like a movie where they use that sound effect. But I was like, that was really something.
It was good.
Wow.
All those practical jokes were funny. The fake finger and the French fries, and that was.
And then funny. And you knew,
yeah,
they're gonna pick it up and bite.
I know,
it.
So gross,
so gross.
But okay, so let's go ahead to where they go to the gas station.
Yes.
Okay, so Dawson's planning this little seance at his house, right? This is something that was problematic to me. There's the couple fighting. Mm-hmm. The grown adults fighting in a gas station. There are hands laid upon each other. I mean, they're both very toxic, abusive people, the woman and the man. And Pacey was like, "Hey, do we like do something?" And Dawson's like, "No, it's a domestic squabble." And I'm like, "Absolutely not. You see something like that happening, you call police." Like, I'm sorry. Like, I know they're kids. Like, but tell the whoever's working there, "Hey, call police. There's a domestic violence situation." I didn't like how they were like, no, stay out of it.
Yeah, I had that too. Yeah. I only had 2 exes,
I didn't like
that was one of mine.
Absolutely. If you see abuse of any form, verbal, physical, or whatever, you report it.
And if you're quote unquote overstepping, oh well,
who cares?
Let the police sort it out.
Safety.
Yeah, let the police sort it out.
Our fellow man.
Absolutely, absolutely. Right before that scene, I had that I love when Scott Foley.
I was like, why has she not said Scott Foley yet? We're 5 minutes in.
Scott Foley. So I put a heart just because it was so dumb. Him asking Dawson for advice.
Girl, I know.
I said so boneheaded.
Well, and
rude.
He is bringing his ex-girlfriend to her ex-boyfriend's house for a date?
Weird.
What?
It's so dumb, but his green sweater was perfection.
Oh, gracious.
I loved that green sweater. So good. I was like, okay, Scott Foley, I'll go on a date with you.
Oh my God, the green sweater, I can't.
And then I have a heart by the cabinets in Graham's kitchen.
Oh, yeah.
I loved that. And then when Jen's on that call, the Scream call, and they said, "What's your favorite movie?" And she says, "The 10 Commandments. Don't ask."
Yeah, don't ask. Your favorite scary movie.
I had a good laugh. And then just generally Pacey's car.
I know.
This wagon. It reminded me of the Griswolds vacation car. And then he's like, "We can't turn it off because I stole it. I mean, I borrowed it. If it's from family, you borrowed it, not stole it." I just thought that was great. And then, so after the whole thing with the domestic dispute inside the grocery, and they come back out, and the creepy guy's been talking to Joey.
My God. See, no, scary. I don't like that. That's real life scary stuff. I don't like that.
That's real life scary. And so this creepy guy's talking to Joey through the window, who and again, this is how you feel in a scary movie when the girl or any one person gets left behind. You're like, "Hello, go inside," or whatever. And so they leave Joey with the windows down in the middle of this parking lot, and the car running.
And they just saw on the news the day before that a serial killer's on the loose.
Yeah, who is after young women, who has killed 5 young women or whatever. So of course, but again, that's how you're supposed to feel in a scary movie. So, of course, you're like, why are they leaving her?
Yeah.
So, of course, this creepy guy is asking her for directions, asking her where she lives, all this stuff. And then Dawson walks up and kind of scares the guy off. Like, "Can I help you?"
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. Then he says to Joey, "It's the 90s. You've got to be careful."
I know.
I loved that. That was so, so good. And I don't know when she said it. I think this was back at the house. So if you have anything else like at the house,
I do. I have a lot at the house.
Yeah, okay. Go for it.
I loved the seance setup. It made me remember. Did you ever do Ouija board stuff?
I didn't. I was scared of it. I would do it now.
Oh, I wouldn't. I did it back then,
but I didn't do it back then.
So for those of you of our generation who did play the Ouija board, you know what? We need a whole episode on Ouija boards.
We probably do.
Because I would love to dig into the history of those.
Are we going to do it?
No, I'm not doing it. I don't play with that mess.
Unless we have a listener who's like good at that.
Ooh,
who like that's their thing.
I'm going to leave if y'all do that segment without me.
Okay, that'll be the bonus.
That makes me so nervous. Anyways, it made me remember though, the Ouija boards, like never failed. Sleepovers, somebody had one. And you'd always be like, "I didn't move it. Did you move it?" No, I didn't move it. Did you move it? Like,
Yeah.
it was just, that's what that whole scene reminded me of. And I loved it while they were sitting in that circle. This was the urban legend shout out kind of thing where they're like talking about scary stories they've heard. But then like your man Scott Foley over there tells this
Oof.
weirdo story and they're like, that's not scary, that's just gross.
Yeah. I was like, dude,
That's not right. That's not where they were going.
yeah, you're kind of on the right track, but like if he would have been like, and the baby was gone.
Yeah.
But no, you can watch the episode to hear the story because it's really gross.
It is pretty gross.
And you could just see Jen like questioning her life choices the whole episode.
Oh, the whole episode.
Which we come to find out
correct
was purposeful. But anyway, we'll get to that. I liked when Ursula said, I mean, Ursula is the woman. Okay. Oh, okay. So
yeah, let's talk about her.
Let's talk about that. So the domestic dispute, quote unquote, in the gas station. So then Pacey starts talking to her and she says she'll get them a bottle of wine, puts it in her purse and literally steals it. They go out to the parking lot and the boyfriend who she's been fighting with starts running at the car. So she jumps in the car. They drive away. He's pounding on the windows. They speed out of there. And for an inexplicable, not smart reason, they take her to Dawson's house.
Like, I did not love this lady and you liked her.
So she was kind of cracking me up. I didn't like the abuse stuff, obviously, but when she was by herself, she said something. She's like, love is a bitch. And then she like gets there and she opens and they're all like staring at her like she's like this scary being they don't want to touch or something. And she opens one of those like toy canisters where the snake jumps out. And she's like, oh!
I know.
Like, and I don't know. I was dying laughing. I'm like,
hilarious.
I texted Dani, this woman is a mess and I love it.
I hate it. Well, I didn't love that her character, you know, I didn't love that they picked her up, first of all. Like, why is a grown ass woman wanting to go to a teenager's house? Like, that's just weird. And then also, she normalizes violent behavior from a partner the whole time.
The whole time. She's like, he may be a blah, 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 but he's my
and it's
blah,
supposed
blah,
to be
blah.
a joke. Like, it's supposed to be like, oh, yeah, you're just crazy.
Yeah. And to like skip ahead a little to like my other ex, after the guy shows up at Dawson's house and is like breaking windows and trying to get in, the boyfriend to get to her and screaming at her. Joey ends up like hitting him with a frying pan. It's a whole thing where you would normally like call the police, but she just leaves with him.
I know.
And I said I didn't love the normalizing of abuse.
That's what I'm saying. I didn't
it was like, oh, haha, we're both so crazy,
right?
Bye.
Because they're both abusive.
They are.
Yeah.
But it was like this guy literally just broke through windows and was like choking Pacey and like attacking all these people, not to mention attacking her, the girlfriend.
Yeah.
But that's just what we do. We're going to go make up now.
I hated that so much. And then
it was like, okay.
But also, okay, did you love that it was Scott Foley all along with the scares? Did you know it was him?
I thought maybe, but I wasn't sure. And so when she first got the note in her locker that said, you're going to die tonight, Jen, I thought it was Dawson because she had just complained to him, oh, you didn't plan any.
Yeah.
Which was sort of annoying. Come on, Jen. She's like, what about me?
Where's my
You're scaring Joey.
You literally broke up with him.
It's like, and later in the episode, Dawson says, I'm not happy with how things are.
Right.
And I'm like, you go, Dawson. Like, he's like, I'm not just going to scare you because you want me to. Like, I'm unhappy.
And I kept
Leave
thinking
me be.
Like Ross and Rachel, like, you broke up with me.
Yeah, right. Exactly. And so so I wasn't sure. I thought it could go one of two ways. That the calls might be real, like it might actually be the serial killer. But then when the guy approached the car and Joey was in it, I was like, I think they were trying to get us to wonder which one was real because the timing of it it wouldn't have been both. It couldn't have been the scary guy talking to Joey who also was calling Jen. Probably not. So it's like they want us to think it's one or the other.
Mm-hmm.
So which one is it? And then when like weird stuff started happening at Dawson's house and the power went out and the phone line was disconnected, which you later find out was Dawson.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of interacting stuff because Dawson was doing some of the scary stuff that he was claiming he wasn't.
Right.
But you could tell he meant it when he said he didn't call Jen and he didn't. So then basically at the end, Scott Foley says, well, that was me. Because Dawson told me you love creative and imaginative. And there's just this moment where you're like,
I know.
Dummy. Like, Dawson totally set you up. Because essentially by the end of the night, Jen is like so turned off by this guy.
Oh, yeah.
She's like, he's not imaginative. No. He's not creative. He scared me he took it too far.
Yeah.
And I just am not attracted to this guy.
He's just imitating. And also, boo, boo, boo for the moment where he says, "Can I kiss you?" And then he didn't even let her answer before he goes in and kisses her anyway.
And then she's like, no.
I didn't like that.
Yeah.
She never said, like, she didn't even get to answer.
She didn't say anything. Yeah.
She said, he said, "Is it okay if I kiss you?" And then went in. And I was like, whoa.
That's what's happening to Jen.
I don't
Come on,
like
guys.
that.
I don't like it. And maybe it's not just Jen. I just noticed.
So then the ending where the lady killer's on TV, and it was the guy that was talking to Joey, of course.
Mm-hmm.
This is why I can't do true crime scary stuff. Because it happens, and it's terrifying, and I don't like it. You can have it all, Katie.
So one of the true crimes I listen to, Morbid.
Can't.
They have...
I mean, just the name of that. Nope.
Oh, yeah.
Out.
Oh, yeah.
Done.
What's funny is they have personalities like ours. And that's why it's fun to listen to. Because they'll like start the show and they'll be like, and you're listening to more. I sound weird. You sound weird. Ha, 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 ha. By the way, we're going to talk about someone who died.
Scary stuff.
And they're so funny as people. Obviously, the stories, and they'll say that. They're like, okay, you know, like, let's get serious because it's a serious thing that happened. But like as people, they're just really fun to listen to. Well, anyway, they have a segment called Listener Tales that they do once a month. And sometimes they're themed. So I listened to one. And it was basically people's letters or emails about brushes with murderers or serial killers that they didn't know. Like it was their neighbor or they met the person at whatever and got a weird vibe so they didn't go home with them or something. And it's like literally like piles and piles of these letters of like close calls, basically. Scary, scary, scary.
Well, I told you my next door neighbor saw somebody she dated on Unsolved Mysteries.
Yes, like that. Yikes.
Girl.
She should write a letter to Morbid. No, she shouldn't.
I don't. Too scary.
Too scary.
Like that.
Too scary. So I wrote down one more heart toward the end. Okay. So there's this scene in Dawson's room where they're kind of, Dawson and Joey are sort of decompressing the night. Joey decides to spend the night. And I'm thinking to myself, yes, girl, do not get in a rowboat. I always call it a canoe.
I know.
Don't get in any sort of water vessel alone in the dark and take yourself home. So yes, stay with Dawson. So she decides to stay and they're like talking about the night and she had scared him earlier by falling out of a closet, like looking like she was dead and he was upset. And she goes, "You almost looked sad." And he's like, he goes in this whole thing about how it would be the worst thing that ever happened to him if, you know, she died. And she's like, wow. And I'm thinking, well, I would think you would know. But still, it's sweet that he's like making such a big deal out of it. And then he says to Joey, well, what about me? Would you be sad if I died? And her face.
I know.
Just this like hats off to her because her acting in that moment was amazing. It's like a half smile, half terror at the thought of him dying. And then almost within a split second, her trying to control it all so he didn't see it on her face.
Yeah.
And obviously you can see in that second or two that it would be the worst thing that's ever happened to her. And then she says like, oh, I'd be devastated. I'd cry forever, blah, blah, blah. But just that look, it's like, oof, that was good.
Yeah.
Right? She didn't have to say anything and you knew what she was thinking.
One of my favorite parts of the last few episodes of this season is for Katie Holmes specifically, you can tell how much her acting abilities improved.
Yes.
And I don't know if she had a coach or whatever, or if it's just she got more comfortable.
Yeah. Could be both.
In like the last few I can't wait till you watch the next one.
I'm so excited. So, and then I just had a heart for the ending, even though it was like terrifying because they turn on the news and she's like, see, real life, scary. And they're showing the lady killer, they think, and it's the guy, you know, played, and you had seen his like sweater and coat when he was talking to Joey and he's wearing those things and he's arrested in Capeside, which is where they're from, and their faces. I think once I knew Cliff was the caller and the note thing. Oh, so actually what I thought to myself, because we were almost at the end of the episode and they hadn't shown the creepy guy from the grocery store parking lot, I was like, ooh, I wonder if he comes into the next episode.
Oh.
Right? Like, is it just going to be like, ooh, and then all of a sudden he's back or you see him talking to Joey? And then in the last, minute, they show that. I was like, oh, okay, we tied that up, but that's really scary. Yeah. So that was really good. And so is the next one the season finale or is there one more?
Ooh, is it? This is the pageant one is next.
Stop.
Yeah, you're gonna love it.
Don't tell me
so
anything
much.
else. Don't tell me anything
You're
else.
gonna love it so much. I'm telling you.
Oh, I cannot wait. All
Yeah.
right. Well, definitely stay tuned for that, guys.
Yes.
And thanks as always for listening to all of the episodes of Generation in Between. Our normal ones, our Dawson's Creek ones, other nostalgic and problematic. We also have a whole bunch of bonus episodes at this point, probably 25 or 30, maybe more, on Patreon. So you can go become a member there for $8 a month. And we've got some fun stuff coming up in the fall for our patrons. So definitely head over there and join us, whether you're an 80s baby, a 90s baby, an aughts baby.
Or whatever.
Are the aughts the 2010s?
I have no idea.
And 2000s are their own thing?
I don't know.
I don't know either. But all generations are welcome.
All I know is what generation we are today.
Today it is Xennial. Yes. Today is the one. So thanks again, everybody. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.